I made the same game, but in all the dimensions that exist. 0D, 1D, 2D, 3D, and 4D. 2D and 3D games are fine, I'm sure you know what they look like, but you might not even know that it's possible to create games in other dimensions. It's hard to picture or understand how to play them, especially at the 4D level until you've seen them. Since we live in a 3D world, we'll have to create a physics and a reality that go way beyond what our brains can handle, and the result is really impressive to see. The game we're going to make will be a platformer with Root, my mascot, and in it, each level would represent a different dimension. We'll have to be super creative to manage to create obstacles with the technical constraints that each dimension imposes. I think this will help us create an extremely original game. Before creating the 0D dimension, let's briefly explain the rules. What is a dimension? In a 2D game, we're referring to a game with 2 dimensions. And that means we can only render on 2 axes. The horizontal axis, which we call X, and the vertical axis, which we call Y. So of course, that gives a flat rendering. We can only make squares, for example. If we want to make a cube, we have to move to 3D and add a third axis. And that will give us a 3D game. Following this logic, a 1D game would only have 1D, so it would just be an axis, a line. And a 0D game would have no dimensions at all. It's open to interpretation. If I were lazy, I could have just shown a black screen and called it a 0D game, but to make it more interesting, I took 0 dimensions to mean nothing to look at. There's no universe, there's only a sequence of text. Since it's just text, it's kind of like a Windows console. You wake up in an unknown place after this mysterious journey. Surprisingly, despite being 0D, you'll grasp the game's setting from this. I can look around, move forward, or close my eyes. Looking around, it appears you're in E1 Labs laboratory. In a small room, there's a door behind you. So yes, you understand that the game will take place in a laboratory. It's really because in 0D you really need imagination. You have to picture the images since you can't see them. Now this is the attack system. Actually, you have to press enter many times and there you go, you're attacking a mob. It's a platform game, so there are obstacles. You get the concept. Let's move on to 1D. Next level, we're finally going to be able to create a visual world, but on a single axis. So, well, it's literally just going to be a line. Literally. You can already imagine that if we want to make obstacles to jump over, well, it's still tricky on a line. Basically, it would look like this. We have our little character here, that's Root. And by the way, you can see that everything is pretty much one color, there's no texture. Because a texture is 2D, you need 2 axes for that. So, we can move forward. We already have enemies, and we can jump on them. When I jump, there's a transparency effect so you can see it, and I can land on it. Hop, and it dies. If needed, we'll just ignore that one. No, there you go. And if we get hit without jumping, we die. Okay, now we just picked up a key. Yeah, it's a key. The thing is, we have to go back, so we go through all the obstacles again. And that's gonna let us get through here. And now we have to jump again. We keep doing little jumps. And there you go, that's the end portal. So now we can move on to 2D. Well, up to this point, you can guess that our game doesn't require much power from our PC, obviously. To get you hyped, here's a quick clip of my PC loading the level in 4D. Well, now we can finally make something beautiful. We can add the Y-axis to our game, and that gives us textures. We can finally see what the laboratory we're in looks like. Yeah, there are streetlights in this laboratory. And Root won't just be able to move left and right anymore, he'll also be able to jump on this new axis. And that'll let him jump over obstacles. So now we're basically making a 2D game like Mario Bros, because of course we're making a platformer. But to show you that axes can be interpreted completely differently, we could have made this or even this as a game. These are also games that are in 2D. You can grab onto the wall to climb it, and there, we've already got a mob. And you can jump on it to kill it. If you add a new axis, it unlocks even more mechanics. We jumped obstacles going from this to this to this. Let's continue. No! Okay, we can grab on. Another thing that's possible thanks to 2D is being able to make menus like this. Hop, 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 hop. We climb, we get our key. The key is the same. We went from this to this. By the way, since the game is starting to look good, it's the right time to introduce you to Borange, who helped me develop the game. He's not just a developer on my team, he's really a genius, let's be honest. Honestly, don't hesitate to congratulate him in the comments for this game. Thanks to him, you can test the game at the end of the video. As I return this key, there's one more thing I want to show you. Some may think 2D games are less beautiful than 3D games. Well, to prove you wrong, Borange went all out and added a ton of visual effects. Yeah, it gives you an idea that even in 2D you can create depth effects, lighting effects, and damn, it's almost harder to do, but it really shows you the before and after with the effects. We return the key, unlocking the next level portal. By adding a third axis, we change from this to that. Our laboratory remains with the same colors and art direction. This time we have more particles, more effects, and new 3D obstacles to climb. There you go. Well, you're used to 3D games, we still added a few little mechanics, like for example the ability to drift. There, that's it. That's crazy. Here, it's literally like the jumps in Minecraft. We have some little enemies. He recognized me. Okay, yeah, for sure in 3D it allows you to make enemies a bit scarier. Interestingly, in 3D movement is much more complex, even for mobs approaching you. The strategy is to do a quick skid like that. And we reached the 4D portal. Remember how the game changed at each level? It's the same here. You're not ready. First, we must start with a basic idea. Our eyes see in 3D, which is a physical limit. So we will never be able to display a 4D world. Technically, it's impossible. We'll have to use a special technique. Actually, we're going to cut a slice of the 4D world, and it's this slice that will display on the screen. But what's counterintuitive is that a slice of a 4D game visually looks like a 3D game even though it's just a single layer. To navigate this 4D world, left-clicking will let you move forward or backward through these layers or even rotate. Here's what that looks like. It's easier to show. To help you find your way in 4D, there are little compasses at the top right. And look, if I start moving... Yeah, well, there's even a whole room that appears. Here, we're moving in 4D, there you go, there you go. If I stop moving in 4D, I stay in the same layer, so I'm in a room, I'm stuck. If some of you are still having trouble understanding, honestly, that's normal. I'll give you one last example to help you understand in just a moment, which is super simple. Even if the explanations are confusing, you can still see what 4D looks like. Let's try moving around the laboratory anyway. Okay, yeah, there we go, there's a room right here, and this room, what does it contain? Yeah, it contains other rooms. We added colored floors so we can find our way around. And normally, there you go, now we can leave the laboratory, but it's crazy. I love it. Whether you understood my explanation at the beginning or not, it must still blow your mind to see that at one moment we're locked inside, and suddenly the space changes and we're outside. And now we see shapes appearing and disappearing. To understand what's happening in this world, I'll give you one last very visual example. For this example, all the credit goes to Mashpo because I found his example just so clear. He managed to create a 4D Minecraft, it's super interesting. Imagine a character in a 2D world who is unable to see 3D. He's like us with the 4D. Well, we could do the same experiment on him. We could place him in a 3D world and cut a slice of that world. Visually, that would give a 2D world that the character is able to see. And to allow him to explore this 3D world, we'll create a button that lets him rotate this plane. And when he rotates, you can see how for him, everything seems to deform and teleport. For him, it's weird, but for us, we understand exactly what's happening because we have the 3D world next to it, which we can see. Well, that's exactly what's happening here. Some things get distorted and so on. We don't understand, but it's completely logical. And that's also why, if you don't understand anything, it's okay. You'll still be able to follow this level. Here, everything suddenly comes closer. I move everything back. I imagine that here, I think there's a fountain, normally. Yeah, the fountain is starting to form. By the way, the shapes you've been seeing here, they're not random shapes. These strange distortions and rotations happen because we're in a 4D world. To put it simply, if in 3D we can rotate objects on 3 axes like you see here, well, in 4D we can rotate objects on 6 axes. Here, our brain thinks it's a bug, but actually, it's just that it doesn't understand the physics of this world, which are very peculiar. By the way, to continue with the anecdotes about this 4D world, even these trees you see here, basically if we get closer, we realize that it's kind of a cluster of spherical shapes and so on. We have to struggle to make shapes out of shapes because actually there's no software that allows us to model in 4D. There you go, we can go in here. The small room will probably turn into a huge room. Yeah, there you go. And now, okay, we can go out again into another place. Yes, yeah, and now, okay, there are some small shapes. Now, I think we'll finally have some obstacle courses. We just need the right spot. Yes, with the little shadows we can try to figure it out. Being lost in a 4D world is a whole other dimension of getting lost, like in Minecraft. Okay, I think I found it. The challenges are here. And now if I can... No, hop. Okay, I made it past an obstacle. Just so you know, to create this game, we used a 4D engine that exists on the internet, and all the credit for this engine goes to Code Parade. He's an English YouTuber who makes 4D concepts easier to understand. If you're interested, I'll add all the info in the description. He's really interesting. Also, a 4D engine has a cool feature. You might not know this, but when a computer renders a 3D world, it breaks down all the models into small triangles. That's its way of doing the calculations and displaying the surfaces on the screen. That's why modelers must use as few triangles as possible when creating an object to optimize game performance. Well, in 4D, instead of using triangles, which are 2D surfaces, we use tetrahedrons, which are 3D volumes. Remember when I said we can't show 4D and use 3D instead? The engine slices the tetrahedron to create a triangle. So we end up with triangles, which is how we display a 3D world. We see the portal to finish the game, but I have no idea where here is. It's a nightmare. You can try out the game we've built together from the start. So far you've just seen a summary, but the levels are fully developed.